UFC Vegas 85. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Really looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I will be live for the entire UFC Vegas 85 fight card Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. But before we get to the breakdown, have a quick message to drop. It is a rest in peace to the great Carl Weathers. He played Apollo Creed in the Rocky series. Growing up, that series to me was my favorite. Movie-wise, sport movie-wise, it's honestly what got me into combat sports from the start. I watched it, probably in infancy. I feel like I remember seeing it at like 3-4 years old. As soon as I could remember, it was Rocky movies. And to hear he passed away was really sad for me. So I felt like I had to give him his due respect. A rest in peace to an absolute legend. And let's not be too somber about it, because the man did live an absolutely great life. And, well wishes to the family and everybody that knew him personally. And obviously the fans like me and like many of you guys. So rest in peace to the great Carl Weathers, and best known for his role as Apollo Creed. Let's get into the breakdown. Starting the card off, we have Thomas Petersen versus Jamal Pogues. Heavyweights going after it in this fight. Petersen has been my pick throughout the entire week. Neither one of these guys are going to go win bodybuilding shows next weekend. They're not competing in the NPC following this. It's a heavyweight fight. Physiques don't matter here. I do have to say Thomas Petersen naturally carries more body fat and is a thicker guy by nature, whereas Jamal Pogues was lean at one point and was more of a slender light heavyweight on the regional scene before deciding to gain a lot of weight and become a full-sized heavyweight. He came in at 265.5. Petersen on the opposite end, 261.5. Petersen's wrestling, to me, is the ultimate difference maker. Jamal Pogues has decent striking on the outside, and he definitely has quality stand-up and some quick hands, but I don't think Petersen is going to be dealing with a substantial power threat. And with a wrestler like Petersen, to keep him off of you have to hurt him with big shots, and that's just not something I think Pogues is capable of. Let's look at these guys on the scales here. Let's shrink myself down. There is Pogues on the scale. He's bulked up to heavyweight. He's become a full-fledged heavyweight now. Then there is Petersen with the flex and ready to rock. He's a very throwback fighter to me, old-school wrestler. There's the face-off. Nothing about the scales is going to change my opinion. I'm picking the better wrestler. I think Petersen lands takedowns, gets on top, does damage. I'm going to call a ground and pound finish for him against Jamal Pogues. Now, as far as the money line betting odds, it is minus 156 for Petersen with Pogues at plus 136. Note, Petersen opened up as a crazy wide minus 270 favorite. A lot of love on Jamal Pogues on the underdog side, and it's become a lot closer here. Over 1.5 is minus 245. That's kind of a coin flip because Petersen could finish him early, but Pogues is not a guy that gets put away early for the most part. I believe he was only finished one time ever under a round and a half. And then looking at inside of the distance for Petersen, around plus 140, plus 145. If you want to try and risk it all and you went Petersen knockout, there's plus 250, or Petersen sub plus 500. All finishes for Petersen, but only one of which have been a submission, and that was the Contender Series fight. So at the end of the day, to me, it's Petersen inside distance to save yourself from a little trouble, because you can see that Chandler Cole sub there, and then KO, ground and pound. Godfather of ground and pound. This is the grandson of ground and pound here. And his only loss is to Where's Waldo, who's a really talented boxer. And regardless of his absolutely, abysmal antics with Andrei Arlovski, he's a quality striker. And I think he is more dangerous with his hands than Pogues. So the pick is going to be Thomas Petersen to beat Jamal Pogues. I'll call it a ground and pound stoppage for him to start the night off. Let's keep running up. Next fight, we have Marquel Mederos versus Landon Quiñones. I think Marquel Mederos is pretty good. He's going to be my pick in this fight. I expect a striking clinic. I really have a strong hunch that the slickness of his stand-up is going to overwhelm Landon Quiñones, and a volume output will accumulate a lot of damage on Quiñones and eventually wilt him. I'm going to call a Marquel Mederos finish. I think he's going to pull it off by a knockout. I really think he has slick as hell striking. Now, Quiñones went distance with Nasrat Haqparast in a debut, but nonetheless, okay, Nasrat Haqparast is not a heavy-handed guy. And people will say, bro, he just knocked out Jamie Mullarkey. But Muhammad Naimov knocked out Mullarkey. Mullarkey's chin is a massive question mark. I don't think he has great durability. And I think Marquel Mederos is going to be able to stop Landon Quiñones. And I think he's en route to become an interesting player here at 155 with slick stand-up like that. Factory X team behind you. The leg kicks are going to be on point. I really think he takes out Quiñones, who also fought on Tough and lost to Jason Knight quickly by submission. Looking at the scales between these two, not anticipating much change because of the scales. Both guys are in shape, on weight. There is Mederos. There is Quiñones. If there's one thing I really like about Quiñones is the flow. The hair is stylish. I like the curls on him. The dude looks pretty sick. Nonetheless, it's a fist fight, not a style competition. And I think the low fade Mederos is going to knock him out. There's the face-off. Intensity between the both of them. Love to see it. Two prospects going after it here, and I think that Mederos has the higher ceiling. As far as the odds, Mederos is minus 135 with Quiñones at plus 115. Note that Mederos opened all the way up at minus 220, so there has been a lot of love on the side of Landon Quiñones as a dog, but I think that love is undeserved. I believe that he's going to drown in a striking match. Look at the last fight from Mederos. He dealt with Salikhov, who has very good takedowns and pressure. I don't think Quiñones is taking down Mederos if an OV ain't getting him down. You're forced into a striking match. I think Mederos is going to shine, drown him, and finish him. Knockout win for Mederos sits at plus 215. I am picking Mederos to get a knockout. But the money line, as good as that is, minus 135 is your best bet. Because Quiñones, nonetheless, is a tough customer. Call Mederos knockout officially. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it. Julia Stoliarenko versus Luana Carolina. I have been picking Stoliarenko to win by submission all week long, and I've kind of been reassured of my call because Luana Carolina had a botched weight cut. 128 pounds. She really struggled. She looked bad on the scale and exhausted, fatigued. We'll look at the scales between these two ladies right now. All right, so we have Stoliarenko, happy, ready to go, on weight. Carolina, who just looked upset to be there. This was the first weigh-in, I believe, where she came in a little more over. And then the second, we get her naked, get her ready to go with the box up, and she came in at 28. So Stoliarenko has accepted the fight. Less than optimal circumstance. Luana Carolina coming in heavy, but I don't think Luana Carolina is heavy as like a, calculated move to have an advantage. Rather, I question the training camp. I question if there is an injury coming into this fight. My confidence in Julia Stoliarenko is going to go up a few notches because of this weight miss. And we're going Stoliarenko to get a submission finish. Now, looking at the lines between the ladies, minus 149, Stoliarenko, where at open she was an underdog, plus 130. And then Luana Carolina, plus 129. Carolina has stand-up, but it's awkward and herky-jerky. It's not necessarily pretty to watch. Stoliarenko has a clear-cut grappling advantage, and if she can succeed on takedown attempts, she will find a submission here. Now, as far as submission for Stoliarenko, that's only plus 130. It is not a great tag, but that is my official method of victory prediction for this fight. Julia Stoliarenko to win. I think we do get a finish. Unders minus 115, though, at even money. It is a coin flip because ladies' fights tend to go longer, but nonetheless, I think Stoliarenko subs her up. She's coming off of that submission win over Molly Meatballs. Before that, sub Jessica Rose Clark. So I think she's pretty live to win by submission against Carolina. But nonetheless, Carolina win last fight against Petrovic, split decision to Calderwood, and then Molly Meatballs knocked her out with the spinning elbow. Like, Carolina has legitimate wins in the past, but I do think Stoliarenko finds a way to win. So we're going Stoliarenko for the win with this ladies' fight. Next fight on the card, we have Blake Bilder versus Jung Yoon Lee. I've been picking Blake Bilder to win throughout the entire week. I know people are kind of high on Lee's explosiveness and finishing capabilities early on, but Blake Bilder has shown very good resilience and ability to recover in the past, and I think that's a huge factor here. I also think pound for pound, he's physically stronger than Lee and the better wrestler slash grappler of the two. So I think Blake Bilder and Lee engage in what's going to be a pretty competitive fight, but key moments will be favoring Blake Bilder. I think he'll land takedowns at the perfect time, and I think that he'll neutralize Lee's explosive and, kind of savage game where he's going to be looking for the kill, because we've seen Lee neutralized a bit on the road to the UFC finale. Even though he won a split decision, Yiza had a lot of success engaging in grappling. So I think Blake Bilder embraces the grind a bit here, and I don't think he's absolutely outgunned in the stand-up neither. So I'm going Blake Bilder for an upset decision. Now, as far as the scales between these two savages, let's look at it. Bilder in very good shape, ready to go. And then Lee also looking quite shredded. He seems like he got a little bit of a tan before this fight. Looks a little orange out there. And then the face-off between the two. Yeah, Bilder to me is going to out-grapple him. I see Bilder with that grappling strength edge, and that's going to be a key difference maker between these two. Let's look at the odds. Bilder has been an underdog all week, plus 140. He opened as wide as plus 215, so he's been played a little bit here. Minus 160 for Lee. The over 2.5, minus 110. I'm expecting them to go long. I think Bilder wins by a decision. That prop currently sitting at plus 325. Blake Bilder, decision win. Probably going long between these two, and I like Bilder's chances to pull it off in a pretty back-and-forth bout. I mean, if you're betting down the side of Bilder, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, smooth money. He's going to be tested, and he's going to be forced to dig deep here, but I believe he's going to. So, Bilder for the W in this fight. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Themba Gorimbo versus Pete Rodriguez. Guys, Pete Rodriguez has been my lock this week. A big concern was him making weight and looking good on the scales, so we'll bring the scales up in a second. I predict that Pete Rodriguez is going to knock out Themba Gorimbo. I think Gorimbo's completely overrated right now. The Rock buying him a house kind of elevated his stock substantially, but nonetheless, it was a dominant win over a well past his prime Takashi Sato, and let's not forget, a loss to AJ Fletcher on the ground where Themba Gorimbo is supposed to specialize. If you look at the stand-up game, Rodriguez is way more dangerous. He's fought Jack Dello, one of the best, and Mike Jackson, maybe the worst. He lies somewhere in the middle ground of the two. He also has a jiu-jitsu base. He's been doing grappling for a long time. I think he's going to be able to fend off Themba's probably heavy grappling pressure, force a striking fight, and land emphatic shots and get a knockout. Because Pete Rodriguez definitely has punching power, and he definitely has good hands. And looking at the scales between the two, Pete Rodriguez came in very good shape. I'm predicting we got a pretty high tier Pete Rodriguez here. Coming out of MMA Lab as well, which is a savage team. A lot of good fighters there. Themba Gorimbo looking shredded, ready to go. And then we got the face off in a second. There we go. A little bit of a height edge for Themba Gorimbo. I think Pete Rodriguez's shorter, stockier frame could pose a threat to Themba. AJ Fletcher, shorter, stocky guy. I think that Themba will maybe struggle on those double legs, and he'll be met with big shots when he gets in close to Pete Rodriguez, and I think ultimately he's going to fall. So we're going Pete Rodriguez underdog lock this week to knock out Themba Gorimbo. Now, as far as the odds for the fight, Pete Rodriguez is a plus 190 dog with Themba Gorimbo at minus 225. Over 1.5 is at plus 130. I am anticipating an under. Rodriguez is known for the knockout finish. That is plus 265 with a first round KO for Pete Rodriguez at plus 450. Just some things to note there. I will anticipate a Pete Rodriguez finish. The hands getting it done, and he knocks out Themba Gorimbo. Rodriguez 5-1, right? Doesn't have the experience, only 27, really just coming into his prime. 33-year-old Gorimbo, I think we've kind of seen the ceiling. I don't think he's all that great. And I think Pete Rodriguez is going to expose him and really gain a lot of respect on his name after a knockout win here. So Rodriguez, underdog, lock, big W incoming. Next fight on the card, we have flyweights going after it. Charles Johnson versus Azat Maksum. Truth be told, Charles Johnson coming in on short notice is something to respect, but he's fighting for his job. Yes, my pick is Azat Maksum. I've been riding with Kazakhstan all week. We got Shavkat Borat, and now we got Azat Maksum representing. And I think Maksum is going to land the key takedowns and edge out a hard-fought decision. Charles Johnson coming in on short notice. A positive note that I'll take away that favors Azat Maksum is that third-round gas tank might be even less than before. Now, we've seen Charles Johnson look game in third rounds against good wrestlers, and, you know, he's a guy that tends to lose to pressure grapplers. We've seen it time and time again. I expect it again here. Azat Maksum also does have a pretty competent stand-up game and decent hands, certainly, and I think Azat, by a unanimous decision, makes a lot of sense here. Landing the key takedowns, controlling the grappling, and taking out Charles Johnson on short notice. And looking at the scales between the two, it is good shape, smiles for Johnson. Azat Maksum looks serious and ready to go. And then we got a face-off between the two. Yeah, I think Charles Johnson's getting out-grappled, man. Out-positioned, outworked, and I think he's going to end up falling into a 4-fight losing streak and might be outside of the UFC. He's like on the teetering cusp of UFC caliber. I do think he's UFC caliber, but he does not get favorable matchups for the most part, and I think Azat Maksum is going to beat him. Now, as far as the betting lines for this fight, Azat is a minus 221 favorite with Johnson at plus 186. I think the over hits at minus 265, and I believe that Azat Maksum by decision is pretty likely around minus 125 for that. Maksum, a little bit of a wide favorite. Definitely something you can throw into one of your safer parlays. We'll talk parlays at the end, and you'll see Maksum's name brought up there. I am pretty confident that he wins this fight, riding with the side of the prospect from Kazakhstan. Let's keep on running. Next fight on the card. It brings us to our featured prelim of the night. It's Molly McCann versus Diana Belbiţă 2. These ladies run it back. It was the debut for Belbiţă in 2019. It was also at 125 pounds. Now we're doing it at 115. Yes, I'm still picking Molly McCann. She was clearly the winner last time for me, and I think she's going to clearly be the winner again. Belbiţă has decent enough Muay Thai, but I feel like she's a little bit stiff. She throws arm punches and doesn't have a ton of torque in her shots, whereas Molly Meatballs has heavier hands and is more explosive and quicker. And she also out-muscled Diana Belbiţă in their previous outing. Now, Molly Meatballs has fallen upon hard times. Erin Blanchfield lost, who's number one contender. Stoliarenko lost by submission, which was a massive upset. She was really expected to win that fight by pretty much everybody. I'm picking her to win again here by a hard-fought decision, and it's at 115, so I've been excited for the scales because we get to get a look. Is Molly Meatballs on point? Well, she did make weight. She made weight. There's Belbiţă, looks quality, per usual. Cute smirk, and ready to fight. Got a little lip gloss on. She plays the cuteness character well. Molly Meatballs is coming out like a savage. Is this not the best physique we've ever seen from Molly? Visible abdominals. She's more ripped than Diana Belbiţă, and she has more muscle mass. I think when you're talking about grappling on the inside, it favors Molly. Boxing favors Molly. I see Molly Meatballs' clear win here. I'm pretty confident that she pulls this one off. I do think we're going longer here. Belbiţă not known for a finish. Molly Meatballs has some later finishes, but nonetheless, I think Belbiţă is pretty damn tough. Minus 264 for Molly Meatballs at open. She was sitting at only minus 155, so she spread as a favorite. Belbiţă plus 224 with an over 1.5. We're seeing it at minus 240, but for the most part, from what I'm hearing, that's a mismark at most books, and it's actually minus 470. The over 2.5 is likely as well at around minus 263. Molly Meatballs, a straight shot money line, a little wide, but is probably going to hit. Parlay piece, absolutely possible, with a Meatballs decision at plus money at plus 100. Molly Meatballs to close out the prelims. I see her winning the fight, and I'm actually pretty damn excited for these ladies to throw down. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on the card, we have our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Gilbert Urbina versus Charles Radtke. I've been picking Urbina to win all week long. There is a little bit of a word on the street about Radtke roughing up a former UFC lightweight champ. Don't know exactly who it was, but if if you dig into it enough, you can kind of make an assumption there. I think that Charles Radtke is very physically strong and capable in the grappling, and I actually really do like his hooks. But Urbina's quick with his stand-up from the outside. He's strong too and definitely can wrestle. He's going to have the youth advantage in this fight. And you know what, Radtke, from what we've seen of actual fights, not just words on the street, I really wasn't overly impressed with the Blood Diamond fight. That's concerning. Urbina last time out put a beating on Koshke. It was Orion Koshke who he finished. I think Urbina's live to hurt Radtke with knees on the inside and maybe even lock up a submission in this fight. So I am going to pick Urbina to pull this one off. We'll look at the scales, though. And we have Radtke, who looks jacked. Urbina, who looks shredded. We have a face-off between these two. Radtke's a lot more muscular, which little cause for concern when you're talking about in grappling, because the naturally stronger guy might have a little bit of that edge. I would say scale-wise, my confidence on Urbina has actually lost some points because of how good Radtke looked. And there is a possibility that he's going to fight to a level that we've never seen before. And that debut was, you know, a little bit octagon jitter based. And maybe we haven't seen the best of Radtke, and the words on the street are true, and you're looking at a serious threat. So Urbina was confident, more so pre-weigh-in. Now I'm looking at it as a pick nonetheless, but maybe not to the same level of pre-weigh-in confidence. But still, I think the tape told me the story. And what we know of Radtke is what we've seen in the cage, not what we've only heard on the outside. Now, as far as the odds, minus 200 Urbina, plus 170 for Radtke. Urbina should pull this one off in competitive fashion. This fight going over is plus 125 with an under at minus 155. A submission win for Urbina is live to me. That sits at plus 450. I think club and sub is a pretty capable outcome here. We're going with Charles Radtke to lose, not win. I'm not flipping it. I'm not fumbling it. Is that superstition kicking in because I said his name first? Up to you guys. I know some people are on Radtke as a dog. I know my boy Mike Finch is on Radtke as a dog. I respect that underdog side, and maybe he's a lot more capable than what we've seen. Tapology is overwhelmingly heavy on Urbina, as most people in my chat are as well. So Urbina to pull it off in this fight to start our main card. Next fight on the card, we have Aliaskhab Khizriev versus Makhmud Muradov. And damn, did Khizriev show up looking amazing or what? We're going to go to the scales in a second. My pick is Khizriev to win this fight. He has a clear-cut wrestling and grappling advantage. I think he's pretty competent in the kickboxing department and can give Muradov even struggles in a stand-up fight. But then timing takedowns and completely throwing Muradov's striking flow is going to be a key factor for Aliaskhab Khizriev to win. Now, as far as the scales, we will look at them right now. Let's check them out. We have Muradov, jack shredded as expected. Aliaskhab Khizriev, six-pack Khizriev, not chubby boy anymore. He was fat previously in the UFC. He trained his absolute ass off here. He's a guy that came in with a lot of hype, been signed since like 2020, has only fought one time. I want to see him live up to these expectations, and I believe that he's going to. I think Khizriev dominates. Intense face-off between the two. Yeah, Khizriev by submission is really calling my name here. So we're officially calling Khizriev by sub. And as far as the lines, it's minus 146 Khizriev with Muradov plus 120 range as an underdog. I think Khizriev wins it. And over 1.5 minus 200. Don't like the over. I like the straight Khizriev side. He opened up at a minus 225 favorite, flipped to a dog initially, and now, you know, sitting at favorite status. Now, as far as submission, which I am calling, it's plus 300 for Khizriev. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Muradov went distance with Kyle Baraiho, though. Okay. Styles make fights. Baraiho is not to the wrestling caliber of Khizriev. Yes, he has very good jiu-jitsu, but styles make the fights. Gerald Mearshart did submit Muradov by a rear naked. And I think Khizriev is live to get his back and strangle him too. Aliaskhab, Khizriev, my pick. And because he showed up so good on the scales, confidence definitely rose some points on my end here with this call. Next fight on the card. Ladies going after it. It's Viviane Araujo versus Natalia Silva. I've been picking Natalia Silva, as I assume most are, because she is a great prospect. She was thrown to the wolves early in her career. She started like 3 wins, 4 losses. She had a negative record at one point, and now she is on track to challenge for a UFC title. If she's victorious here, she might be one fight away from fighting for the belt, and I actually think she'd be a very capable contender. Yes, I'm picking her to beat Viviane Araujo. I think her stand-up game is better. I think her grappling game is superior. Her athleticism is superior. The youth factor, 10 years younger. And note something. It is Natalia Silva's birthday on fight day. I think she gets the best gift of all, which is a UFC win. And that 27 emerging as a legit problem for these women at 125. Now, as far as the scales, Silva looked great. She looks great. Awesome look. Nice smile. Ready to win. Viviane Araujo actually looks in great shape as well. She doesn't look 37. Then the face-off between the two. Natalia Silva is the pick, guys. Calling her side. I think she wins this thing. I really do. I believe it to the core. Minus 365, though, is ugly for Natalia Silva. She opened up as, let's see if we can get it, a minus 275 favorite. She's gotten even wider. Araujo plus 290. Araujo does have 2 losses recently. Ribas, Grasso, who's the champion. And then her most recent win was an upset W over Jennifer Maia, which sent Jennifer out of the organization. Over 2.5 likely at minus 295. And Silva by decision is also very likely. That sits at minus 135. Silva becomes more of a parlay piece, in my honest opinion, because this is a very wide shot to money line. But I think quality call. I believe in her. So we're going Natalia Silva. We're going with the prospect. Let's keep running up. Next fight is our featured bout. It's Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikhov. I am maybe insane because I'm picking Muslim Salikhov to win, and he's giving up a lot of height and reach, but I don't think Randy Brown is going to have an easy time staying on the outside with Salikhov. Note something about Brown. He does plant a heavy lead foot, and Salikhov rips beautiful leg kicks. I think he's going to be attacking those legs a lot. Now, when we get into grappling entanglements, yes, Randy Brown has quality jiu-jitsu, but Muslim Salikhov is strong in quality with grappling on the inside. I know he's 39. I know people say he might even actually be 45, but I'm picking Salikhov to get an upset decision here with Randy Brown. Yes, Brown has done well in his past 5. You look at recent win. Wellington Turman, I was underwhelmed. Lost to Jack Della, expected. Trinaldo win, underwhelming. Chaos Williams, very underwhelming. Close fight, he was dropped multiple times. Jared Gooden win. Jared Gooden's heavy-handed. Decent win there. He's beat Wellington Turman last time, but not a high-tier W. You look on the opposite side, Salikhov lost to Dalby, who's an absolute savage. Beat Fayalu, who's a 50-50 fighter. Lost to Leach by knockout. Heavy-handed guy, nonetheless. Beat Trinaldo by a decision, too. And then a Zaleski split decision. Thinking it's a closer fight than the odds have it, and I'm going with the underdog, Salikhov, to pull off a competitive decision upset. Now, I know my boy Finch locked up Brown, and he told me he's head kick knockouting him. He's sleeping Salikhov. I think, at worst, we're going distance here. Salikhov, there he is on the scales. He looks every bit of 39. Randy Brown looks quality. I mean, he looks a little sunken in the face. I don't know. Hard weight cut. There's the face-off. Crazy height difference between these two. Looks like 2 weight class difference as far as their height goes. But nonetheless, man, my call will still stay with Salikhov, even if it is a concerning call. And you know I'm ready to take it on the chin if it doesn't come to fruition, but we shall see. Plus 225 for Salikhov, who opened up at a plus 220 line, so not much movement there. It stayed about the same. And minus 265, Randy Brown, a massive favorite. Over 2.5, minus 160. That right there is very high confidence. I'm pretty certain we're going over. Decision win for Salikhov if you want it is plus 500. Good fight. Underdog call. Risky underdog call. But I have to go with what I'm seeing. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's madness for me. We shall find out on fight day. Co-main event coming up. We have Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober. My pick here has been Renato Moicano. Money Moicano. Collab 2024. After I perfectly call this prediction, I think he should be forced to collab with me. So if you guys ever check out Money Moicano's videos after this fight, maybe drop something in the comments. Yo, Moicano, collab with AJ. Let's make it happen. MMA Experts Moicano 2024 collab. Now, I'm not just picking him because I want to bring him on the channel because I think he's a dope guy. I think he's a dope fighter, too. Moicano's stand-up is underrated, and his durability is also underrated. He gets a bad rap because he has some knockout losses, specifically to dangerous strikers like Khizriev, or losing down a weight class to Aldo, or to the Korean Zombie. This is an evolved Moicano. I think this is a better Moicano. This is a filled out, large, lightweight Moicano who has very good jiu-jitsu. He is going to submit Drew Dober. Sure, he's going to have to deal with danger on the opposite side with the hands, but he's got a little bit of a reach edge. Moicano works good straight punches. His Muay Thai is underrated. I think he can survive a Dober onslaught. I think he gets Dober to the ground, and I think he strangles him. Win by submission from Money Moicano in this fight here. Let's check these two out on the scales. Let's see how they're looking. All right. There is Money Moicano looking very good on the scales. Absolute savage. Drew Dober looking like a Chad. The Crimson Chin of the UFC. Then we got a face-off here. Good face-off. Respectable face-off. Two guys know what's happening tomorrow. It's warfare. This is going to be a banger. And I like the chances of Money Moicano pulling this one off. Now, as far as the lines for this fight here, Money Moicano is minus 188, so a little teetering towards the 2-1 side, around plus 158 Dober. Lines are varying depending where you go. Open, plus 110. Moicano was the dog at open. Became a big favorite. Over 1.5 is plus 100. It's not even expected to go over 1.5. Granted, close money expectation, but nonetheless, still plus. Moicano by submission, which is my official prediction, sits at only plus 175. Not crazy wide. Dober by knockout, which is probably his most likely method, is plus 175. I like Money Moicano's chances, guys. I think he's pulling this off by sub. I think he'll be quality in the stand-up. I think he'll take Dober's back and strangle him. Now, I'm not telling you to go bet the house, because when you have two high-tier guys that are very evenly matched here, chaos is going to ensue, but I see a Moicano finish at the end of it. Money Moicano for the win in the co-main event. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Roman Dolidze versus Nasruddin Imavov. My pick here has been Nasruddin Imavov. I think that he's going to be able to technically outstrike Dolidze and avoid dangerous grappling exchanges. Now, I've picked decision. Could it end earlier? Sure, there could be an accumulation of counter strikes by Imavov, and he ends up finishing the Dolidze. But as of right now, Dolidze seems to have a pretty sturdy chin. Dolidze coming off of a somewhat controversial loss to Marvin Vettori. I thought he might have been able to get that on the scorecards. Close, though. Close. Impressive, even in defeat against Marvin Vettori. But Imavov is much more mobile than Vettori. He's better at kickboxing from range than Vettori, and he is Dagestan blood. I think he'll be able to fend off grappling attacks by the very good grappler in Roman Dolidze. So I'm picking Imavov to pick his shots well, move well, outstrike Dolidze, and pull off a win in what should be a pretty competitive fight. Now, as far as the scales between these two middleweight contenders, we have Imavov, who's jacked and shredded, and he's young too. He looks like he's put on muscle. Imavov looks more Chad than ever. Look at the thickness of that beard. Then there's Dolidze, who shaved his head, still looking jacked, but seems to has aged like at least 3.5 years since his last fight. Then we got the face-off between the two. I think Nasruddin Imavov's going to win, man. I think he's evolving as a fighter. I think he's got high potential. He's Dagestan blood, and I think people forget about it because he's a French kickboxer. But nonetheless, still that dog blood will keep him on his feet, and I think he'll outwork and outstrike Dolidze. Moneyline minus 175 for Imavov. I would have loved to seen him as a dog, but he opened up as the favorite. Plus 150 for Dolidze as a favorite here. Over 2.5 minus 170 I think is fairly likely. Imavov to win by a decision, currently sitting at plus 250. And Imavov knockout is only plus 275, so it's not much value points upwards from the decision to the knockout. I'm feeling the side of Imavov getting it done on the cards, but I don't think a knockout is impossible for him. I just think he's very patient and technical and can be ready for 5 rounds of technical work, and beating a Dolidze on the scorecards, to me, makes a lot of sense for him. I like Imavov's chances, man. Imavov for the win. Am I telling you bet the house on it? No, because we got a real high-stakes fight. I think the odds are too wide. This is more of a pick'ems fight in all actuality. And I was kind of surprised to see Imavov as the favorite. I think you could have given Dolidze a minus 165 tag and Imavov coming in as an underdog. Nonetheless, I think Imavov does win this thing. I'm picking him to pull it off in the main event, which is going to be a sick fight. And we got UFC for 11 weeks straight, so I'm more excited than I've been in a long while. But we're not done here yet. It's time to talk about some parlays, okay? Let's parlay some things up. Now, I put this together pre-show. Plus 146, Khizriev, Maksum. There's a good aura and feeling about this call. Now, I can send you guys in the wild direction and you put the underdog lock, Pete Rodriguez. Now you have plus 650, which I think could end up hitting. Do you want to maybe touch an over in the Blake Bilder fight? Close money, risky. Plus 1,300 for that. Let's say we take Pete out real quick because I'm feeling like this over in our featured bout of the night, Salikhov versus Brown, is so sensible. Plus 300. Khizriev, Maksum over 2.5 seems pretty golden here. If you believe in the ladies' fights, if you want to bet the women, which is, risky territory, but I think Molly Meatballs wins plus 462. I think there's a good chance for her to pull it off. Marquel, Mederos, close money favorite, should get it done. Then do you want to throw Pete in your lineup? Plus 294. This could all hit. This could all happen. I think I got decent calls. I think I'm on to something here. Blake Bilder plus 7,000 now. You guys know. Like the first two I listed off, I love. I love that over. We start getting crazier. Like, sure, you could go and line up everything. You could throw Nasruddin Imavov. You could throw Money Moicano. Okay, you could go absolutely nuts. You could throw the over here. I'm going to do everything. You could say, I want Natalia Silva. She's a good addition, too, that I didn't even include. I should have. Natalia's a good addition. Khizriev for the W. Let's say you're calling Urbina, too. You're just trying to sweep this damn card at this point. Molly Meatballs, Azat Maksum, Pete Rodriguez, Blake Bilder, Stoliarenko, Mederos, Petersen, plus 101,813. If you place that with a couple bucks and it ends up hitting, you're getting rich. But nonetheless, not necessarily recommending you throw it all down on that. You know what I'm saying? There's better ways to do things. You could throw Maksum with your lineup with the likes of Natalia and with the likes of Khizriev. And if you don't like Maksum early on, and you want to remove him, which I do understand, you still got plus 126, Silva, Khizriev, two main card fighters. I'm loving the parlays. I'm loving the calls this week. Guys, bet it intelligently. Be cautious. And make sure you're doing your own research. Don't just blindly tail. Dig in a little bit if you're actually throwing some cash down. I hope you guys enjoyed this weigh-in recap show. It's been a blast for me. Something to note is I do daily live streams. If you guys don't know about them, you should definitely check them out live every single day. We have a blast in those lives. And I also do members only streams right now, doing them every Thursday. So if you want to become a member, join that. And we started the first ever Ultimate Push-Up Championship. Right now we have the champ, Latrell Spencer, looking to defend that crown every Thursday. And I'm pretty excited to continue to build that absolute cult league of savagery on the channel with my members. So thank you guys for watching. Smash the likes if you're new, subscribe. And if your post notifications are not on, turn them on, put them on all, not just personalized so you don't miss a video. I appreciate each and every one of you for helping make this thing possible, man. You guys are amazing. Let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite picks. And if you have any pick flips, let me know too. W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy, if nothing else. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.